Okay.
Namaste and hello to one and all for watching us live today. I, Ms. Faria Sayyed, on behalf of Madhu Samrajya, extends a very hearty welcome to one and all to the second episode of Akansha Unlimited. As author Glenn Close said, what mental health needs is more sunlight, more candor, and more unashamed conversation. India is one of the most depressed countries in the world, according to the World Health Organization report. We also have the highest rate of suicide. That is, more than 1 lakh people in India on average kill themselves every year. Despite of all these statistics, there continues to be an unashamed, a kind of unneeded stigma or embarrassment when it comes to talking about mental illness or depression. But today in this program, we have with us a renowned personality who wish to be a guiding light for people struggling with mental health challenges and are looking for emotional stability. We have with us Ms. Amruta, who is currently working as a professional counseling psychologist in Singapore, who has also won the title of Miss India 2006, Miss Earth Air 2006, who is also an actor, model, reality show judge, MC. It's my privilege to welcome you, ma'am, on the platform of Madha Samrajya.
Hi, Faryal. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
Ma'am, so as we are here to have a conversation on mental health, how do you define mental health? Is it as the same as happiness, or it's simply the absence of mental illness?
A great question to begin with. Happiness is just an emotion, and as humans, we experience various emotions. And mental health is different from happiness. Mental health is your psychological, your emotional well-being, and your overall well-being. And when you lack ability to experience your authentic self and the person that you are, your fullest emotions and your fullest potential, that is when we say that the person could be struggling with mental health issues, or when you struggle with stresses of life, or the smallest challenges that life throws you in, and you're not capable of facing those crises, and a small issue appears like a crisis to you. That is when we say that the person has mental health issues.
Okay. And ma'am, as I told, there is an unneeded stigma or an embarrassment. So why do people feel ashamed to talk about mental illness or like depression, bipolar disorder?
I'm trying to find the answer of the same question. Why do people feel ashamed to talk about mental health, and why is it a stigma? Because I think mental health is as important as your physical health, and I think both are two sides of the same coin, and they both coexist. It's not different. It's your overall health. And we don't really hesitate when it comes to talking about, I have thyroid, or I have blood pressure, or, we have any health issues. We don't hesitate to go to a doctor or a physician. But then when we feel we are going through some emotional challenges, we hesitate. We feel ashamed that what will people think about me if I say that I'm going to a therapist or a counselor or a psychiatrist. But I feel there is a need, and that's the question we need to ask one another, and that's the question we need to raise. Why should we be ashamed? There shouldn't be any stigma. There shouldn't be any guilt or shame attached to mental health.
Yes. How can I tell if someone has a mental health problem? Is there any kind of a sign or struggle which can be noticeable within them?
I think that's going to happen through creating awareness. It's just like we know that a person has some health issue by knowing the symptoms. Like a person is going through a blood pressure, or a person is going through, for example, a spinal issue. They have backache, or they have numbing in their legs, or they struggle with any physical movement, and that's when you decide these are the symptoms and I need to go see a chiropractor, or I need to go see someone who will help me with my spinal alignment. Similarly, there are various personality disorders, there are various mental health issues that we need to address. And by creating awareness on what are the symptoms of those issues, it will be very easy for us as a family and friends to recognize if someone's going through it.
Yes. So is there any kind of situation where one have a mental health condition and a problem, but is not aware of it?
Oh, it happens all the time. Because again, it's because of the lack of education and awareness. We don't really know what are the signs, what are the symptoms. And we just feel that, oh, it's just a phase of life. Or we just feel, oh, she's just sad. So as a society, we are still not ready to accept mental health is equally important as physical health. We still feel we are still in a denial. And we give names, we attach names to something, we label it, right? As you rightly said, we always label it to some kind of an emotion, but than addressing what the real issue is. I feel that it's very important that we create awareness and we educate people that it is not just sadness. If you've gone through a certain period of sadness, it's no longer a sadness. Maybe you have something deeper. Or, we label even anger issues as, oh, she's just angry. Oh, she loves me or he loves me. So it's fine, if she or he will not get angry at me, then who will she or he get angry at? And we are always in denial than accepting the reality that the person may be going through anger issues, or maybe the person has depression and the surfacing emotion is an anger. And this we will only learn to recognize by educating ourselves.
Mental illness have become very common nowadays. Is it because people are struggling to deal with the difficulties of 21st century?
I think mental illnesses have not become common. It's just we are at a phase where we've learned to recognize it. The mental illnesses or issues have always been there. People have always gone through anxiety or depression or crisis. Back then, they didn't know that this is a mental or emotional imbalances that they are going through, or they didn't take those um, situations as crisis. They always labeled it, as I said. But nowadays, people are becoming more and more aware thanks to social media. But also, there is also catch-22, I would say. Um, Technology and social media, just as it is a boon, at the same time, overusing technology and overusage of social media and overexposure of inappropriate online content is also causing people mental health issues. Uh, there is gaming addiction, there is a social media addiction, and it's also because of that, people are molding their lifestyle around technology and they're not in sync with nature. We like to watch Netflix till 2 a.m. Then we have to wake up in the morning. Then the first thing we do is scroll through Instagram and Facebook, and we compare our lives with other people, what they are up to, what they are doing. And we are not really focused on our reality. And I think as you asked the question about what is the reason why this today's generation is facing so many mental health issues is a combination of all these things. It's lifestyle, it's overexposure, it's stressors. There is a social pressure on all of us of sustaining that job, surviving that mm, you know that position in your career, or making more money. So there are various problems, that we are going through. And when we are incapable of managing those crises or stressors, we face emotional imbalances.
And when we face such condition, how can we maintain social connection?
We all are relational creatures. Humans survive only if there is a human connection. That is how we are. That's our true, genuine nature. And unfortunately, the pandemic and the current situation that the entire planet is going through, we need to maintain social distancing, which is exactly opposite of our nature. We are so used to socializing, meeting friends, meeting family, going out, being in the group all the time, watching the movie in theater together. We like our uh, we grow through the bonding, and that is what is not there since last few months, and we are lacking that experience of being able to be social creatures, and it definitely has an impact on our mind. And I would say the only thing that we can do is try and maintain that social contact through video calling, or have your set of people who you regularly speak with, or utilize that time probably to self reflect. What is it that I can do in the given time and space that I have to grow from here? So that is one way of dealing with the current crisis that we all are going through.
It is happening that sometimes people feel that life is not worth living. According to you, what are some of the aspects of life that make it worth living?
It's a very, very difficult question, for Ayal. It's very difficult to help someone find that tiny little string of hope when they have lost all the hope in the world, when they no longer feel that life is worth living. They probably must have gone through some intense emotions, grief, sadness, loss, um, feeling hopelessness and maybe depression, where they are no longer able to hold themselves up, you know. And it is possible we all at some point in time go through that emotion. And some people, they don't get help. They don't have enough friends. They don't have someone they can talk to. They don't have a strong, solid family support or a friend circle, where they get sucked deeper and deeper into the valley of grief. And that is when the sense of hopelessness grows, and they feel that life is not worth living anymore. And it's very unfortunate that as you mentioned in the beginning of our chat, it's very unfortunate that there are many people who are feeling hopeless and they have no other option, but they see taking their own life is the only way to be. And if we come across any of those people, there is only thing that you can do is just help them listen, just validate their emotions. They, whatever they have gone through, understand their journey. What is it that's making them feel this way? So the only thing that I would suggest we can do, if someone has reached a stage in their life where they feel a sense of hopelessness, where they feel the life is no longer worth living, just validate their feelings, just listen to them. And that helps them with self-reflecting sometimes, and there is a hope of changing their decision.
Ma'am, before reaching to a professional, a person who's having this thinking of suicide, reaches to his or her family members or his friends. So at personal level, how can family and friends help them?
Never dismiss them. It's very, very unfortunate that because of lack of education and lack of awareness, a lot of people perceive uh, such situations as, oh, she's just sad. Oh, she's just, whatever. She's just longing for attention. Or he is just saying such things because, he wants some sympathy. But sometimes the person is really, really going through a feeling of hopelessness and a feeling of um, not wanting to live anymore. And when they express, take them seriously, talk to them, ask them what is it that can help them not feel this way or give them a slight hope of living, help them find meaning to their lives. And I would suggest that if a family and friends can play the role of being an active listener, validating their feelings or empathizing with them and not dismissing them, we won't need a counselor.
Apart from talking about to a suicidal person and encouraging him to go for counseling, what else can we do to prevent this?
As I said that, if you see any symptoms of a person going through severe depression or hopelessness or feeling lonely, sometimes there are also physical symptoms, physical signs. A person struggling with depression or any kind of disorder, especially bipolar disorders, where there are days of feeling extremely high, and there are some days when the person is feeling extremely low. They detach themselves from the society. They just stay at home. They stay in bed. They don't even get up for a shower or to have their meals. So if you see any symptoms, a friend or a relative or a colleague who has suddenly disappeared, who is no longer taking your calls, who is no longer meeting, or someone is suddenly not online, who used to be always chirpy, interactive, very social, take that as a sign. Sometimes people even lose appetite. Sometimes people even binge eat because they rely on food for as their emotional need, the void that they're feeling. They fill that void by eating. So notice these signs. If someone is going through sudden drastic changes in their behavior, they are withdrawing themselves. Are they suddenly losing weight because they are not eating? Are they suddenly um, non-responsive? There is also one of the signs or symptoms where a person suddenly just feels very calm. It's like a calm before the storm, where they are very neutral. They are feeling very numb. It's called anhedonia. They are feeling very numb. They are not responsive. They are not sensitive enough. They are neither happy nor sad. They're just calm. Sometimes this is also a sign that maybe the person is going through something, and maybe they're planning the suicide in their head. So when you see such signs, reach out, talk to the person, ask them, are they okay? Are they feeling anything? Do they want to talk about anything? And offer non-judgmental um, friendship to them. We are always ready to judge them. Oh, is it? Why are you feeling this way? Oh, is it? And when person feels judged, then they don't want to open up, and don't give advice. That's the last thing you want to give, because that is not what a person is looking for. All they want is just someone who they can rely on, someone they can talk to.
How does counseling help? What benefit does counseling session give to that person?
Oh, there are several skills and methods that a counselor uses to identify the issues or the struggles or the challenges a person is going through. Sometimes there are many cases where the person talks about certain issues or challenges that they are going through, but during this session, a lot of emotions come to the surface. The underlined emotions get aggravated. There are various triggers. There are various other deep down issues that the person is struggling with, which crops up. And it's a process. It's just like sometimes certain physical ailments you can't uh, cure with home remedies. You need to go see a doctor or a specialist, to find out what exactly is the reason behind the issues that one is facing. Similarly, a counselor uh, goes through the client's history, their childhood, allows them a space where they feel non-judged, just listens to them, and through that, it's a process of helping the person heal.
Ma'am, because of this pandemic, there are many people who have lost their job, and this is the biggest stress because the entire family suffers.
Yeah.
So, in such situation, how can mental health be managed?
It's a world crisis, for real, and it's very, very difficult times. It's very easier said than done, but someone who's actually going through it will only be able to understand the trauma that they are going through and the suffering and the challenges that they are going through. Uh, there is nothing, nobody has the answer when this time will be over and when there will be a vaccination or when this pandemic will end. I think what we can do is just process. When you lose a job or when you go through a, any kind of a grief, there is grief and loss therapy, where you are no longer in denial, you're accepting what you're going through. And when you're no longer in denial, you're accepting, it's very easy to process it. And it's not no longer that difficult to go through it with suffering or any kind of a pain. So I even I don't have an answer to this, to be honest. I'm just staying for the heck of it because it is a trauma. It is a big, big trauma. If you are the person who is going through losing your job or losing your family, all we can help that person do is, again, find the slightest hope, find the slightest meaning of what next they can do from now on.
In such situation, how can people use distractions to control or manage their feelings or thoughts?
Oh, that's the biggest mistake. Distracting yourself, because at that moment, when you're facing an issue or a crisis or challenges, you distract yourself. That doesn't mean that the problem doesn't exist. But when you go through it, when you face the problem or the challenges, when you're no longer in denial, you're able to process the situation much better than denying it. Because when you distract yourself, that emotion of loss or grief or sadness will crop up again sometime in later part of your life. And suppressed emotions which are distracted become much more intensified. And that is what causes mental health issues. So find courage, gather all the courage that you have to face whatever you're going through. Don't be in denial, don't distract yourself. Face it with a brave heart.
In this last 5 months, there's a drastic change, like from work from office to work from home, physical education to virtual classes. There are many people who are feeling low, sad, or even stressed. How can they overcome this situation?
This is a big change, and any change has its own consequences. The only thing I would say that really helps cope with stress is making lifestyle changes. Just as there is a major change in the way we work, the way we are living right now, we need to change and adapt the new normal, the new way of living. Because we are sitting at home, we are, just locked up all the time. It's very difficult because, as in the beginning of the chat show, you said that, we need fresh sunlight, we need to be in sync with nature, we need to step out, we need to socialize, and everything has stopped. The only thing that one can do right now in the current scenario is figure your way out how you can exercise at home, do yoga, or find a way to attend some online classes where you can probably do a Zumba session or use your skills and talent and self-reflect. What is it that I can do where I can protect myself from COVID-19? but also at the same time, I don't feel defeated. Work on building resilience. That's what I would do. When you work on building resilience, you come out stronger from any crisis or any situation.
Yes. From a model to a mental health counselor, what feelings and future dreams you carry towards your profession and how much enjoyment you get from your work?
There is no connection. These two are completely different uh, fields, I would say. Uh, I've had a beautiful, glorious career of 12 years career of being a model and being a part of entertainment fraternity. And I was always interested in psychology. I used to always read, blogs, Psychology Today. I was always inclined towards attending meditation workshops or going for yoga. I was always a spiritual person where I learned about mind and emotions and understanding how mind and body are always in sync. And that is where this idea came to my mind, where I thought that this is something that I'm really, really passionate about. After moving to Singapore 4 years ago, for 1 year, I was doing absolutely nothing. And it's an honest confession. I've gone through a phase of few months where even I felt hopeless. I felt that this is a great life and everything is beautiful, but what is the meaning? What is the purpose? I don't think I want to go back to India and do modeling or do anything because I was done with it. I had reached my peak. And those months I utilized to self-reflect. What is it that I can do? Is there something that I really love doing? Is there something that our society needs and something that I'm really passionate about where I will never get bored of doing something? And that's when I found my answer. And I took up 2 years of graduation program. And I graduated in the beginning of this year, completed my internship with Singapore Association of Counseling. And then I did some interesting projects as a counselor. And that's when I found my new calling.
That's quite, you yourself is telling that you have gone through that phase, and that's a biggest example we can see that even after that you are here with such a as a great personality, and that's commendable. Any
I think
activity of
it's
yes, ma'am.
I think I would like to, sorry to interrupt you, but I would like to add to this, it's very, very important that we normalize uh, depression or anxiety or any kind of mental illnesses. Because at some point in life, all of us go through it. It is very, very rare the person has not felt hopeless or lonely or defeated. Of course, the intensity of feeling those emotions is different. Some feel it very, very deeply because they are sensitive. Some have strength, courage, and resilience to overcome those crises or ability to cope with it. Some don't. So they feel defeated. But it's very important that people talk about it. There shouldn't be any stigma or shame. It is just like, nobody's really ashamed to take out their, the tiny little dabba the old people carry, and then they take out their BP medicine, then they take out their cholesterol medicine, then they take out their diabetes medicine, and they pop it just before they have their meals. They're not ashamed of it. So if someone is on antidepressant or if someone is taking any kind of a medical help and undergoing some challenges, they shouldn't be afraid of it. So we need to normalize it. We need to make the person feel okay. It is okay if you're going through it and give them that confidence. That confidence and acceptance itself will help the person recover because there is a stigma and we make the person feel judged or ashamed, uh, it becomes very difficult for someone who is struggling with mental health to recover and cope faster.
Ma'am, coming from Indian culture, most of the people have one mentality that log kya kahenge? What will people say about me? What will people think about me? Is this also a kind of mental illness?
Yes, it's not a kind of mental illness, but it is feeling judged. It is feeling shamed, and culture and society that you live in has a major impact and influence on how you think. You know, compared to Asian culture in Western countries, it is much more acceptable, or especially in Europe, where uh, the so-called father figures of the psychology, Sigmund Freud and Erickson, we learned about all these people who created theories, invented theories, because there is a culture of going to a therapist if I'm not well. Uh, People are going through the process of recovery at much more ease. But Indian culture, or I would say Asian culture, not just India, but other Asian countries also are still conservative, and they are not really open to the idea of going to a counselor. So, as I said in the beginning, we label it or we go to astrologer. Why is this going through? Why the person is going through this? Or schizophrenia or a split personality or multiple personality disorder, sometimes also gets a name of Angad Devi Ali, you know. So it may or may not be true. I don't really know because I personally haven't had the experience of having the two different personalities where the Indian society or our culture names it as Angad Devi Ali, or she has a spirit in her body. Uh, Psychology names it, split personality or schizophrenia or multiple personality disorder. The science is still doing research on it. No offense to people who have belief in the culture and the system of it. But Indian society still needs to open up to this idea and not dismiss the person or not shove it under the carpet. Address those issues.
Exactly. Any activity or project that you have been involved with recently in counseling sessions?
I conducted a workshop with foreign domestic workers. There are a lot of Filipinos, a lot of Myanmar, Indonesian maids who are working in Singapore. They are away from their families, and because of the pandemic, they're not able to go back. They are living here, working with the employers, they're staying at home. And because everyone is working at home, they also have a lot of pressure of taking care of the children, taking care of the employers, the family, cooking, cleaning, grocery. And because they have their children back home, they're constantly in a worry. They're feeling anxious that I hope my family is okay because I can't even travel back. I can't physically be there to be with my family if something happens. So, considering their situation in mind, I thought it would be really appropriate and helpful to conduct a session with them. So, I did that recently. I also worked with Health Serve. I did a few sessions with the workers, migrant workers who are currently in dormitories in Singapore, who are COVID positive. There is a very large population here. Those workers are affected. Fortunately, they are asymptomatic carriers and their situation is not extreme, but they are COVID positive and they are going through their sort of challenges where they feel that the future is unpredictable. They don't know, will they get their salaries, their work visas will get renewed, they have to send money back home, and they are going through some challenges and fears and anxieties. So I recently worked with them. I also joined hands with a startup company called Kara. It's online digital portal of counseling. It's as simple as chatting on Facebook Messenger. You can put in a message, you can chat. There is a community section. There are a few therapists on board, and you can choose your therapist and do a online video calling session with them.
That's great. At the end, ma'am, any message that you would like to give to the audience for watching you live today?
Life is unpredictable, and take this thought on a positive note. Instead of developing anxiety and worrying about unpredictable future, be kind, be compassionate, because you never know what life holds, in future. Accept yourself, love yourself. I know this sounds a bit cliche, but most of us are always living in a denial. Accept yourself, be kind to one another, and do everything that you possibly can to take care of your mental and physical health.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It was a privilege as well as a pleasure to hear your thoughts. And on behalf of Madha Samrajya, I'm immensely thankful to you and all the audience who has joined us today live. I announce that this session is completed and we'll be back soon with another episode of Akansha Unlimited. Till then, stay tuned with Madha Samrajya. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Faryal, and it was a great, great pleasure. And thank you for giving me an opportunity to talk about mental health and uh, giving me the platform to be able to reach out to a large audience. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am. It was a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.